Welcome to The Junction. This is Lisette Nieves. I'm so excited to have a wonderful guest today, and we have Kandy G Lopez. And let me tell you just a little bit about her. Kandy Lopez is a multidisciplinary portrait artist. She explores cultural identity, representation, and power through fiber, painting, glass, and mixed media. Born to Dominican parents, she draws from her experience navigating multicultural landscapes, has a BFA in painting and BS in marketing and management. Her background is both fine arts and business. It informs her meticulous material investigations and strategic engagement. I could go on and on. What it is Kandy's a badass when it comes to art. And for someone like, she's just really inspiring. And I'm super excited to talk to her about how her art process happens, what brought her to this route. And welcome, Kandy.
Thank you. That was so sweet. That was a fantastic intro. Thank you for taking all the time to talk to me.
Oh, it's super exciting for me. So let's just start. I'll warm you up a little bit.
Okay.
So what were you doing right before we started this podcast?
So I have my senior exhibition that's happening, and they're all going crazy. So they're coming to look for me. And I'm in my studio. So this is my studio session time. So I'm in there making work at the moment.
In your studio, are you alone working, or let's go right into that? Like in that process, are you?
Yes. So I am on campus. So my studio is at Nova Southeastern University. They provide a studio space for me right now. I'm in the framing shop, which is like a nice box that's attached to the wood shop. So if I need any tools, it's right there, which is extremely convenient. And they have lots of tables that move on wheels. So if I need to wheel things around, specifically like my molds for my frames, it's easy. It's just set up nicely. And I'm in there by myself unless there's students that pop in. Right now, they're also putting a theater show together. So there's the theater crew that are assembling a set. He's making a whole apartment downstairs. But I'm blasting music, so I don't hear any of that anyway.
Kandy, when I put this podcast together, I thought about what were pivot points or juncture points in people's lives that kind of put them in a direction that I call the exclamation points in their lives, right? And I think about art and creativity and artists having exclamation points in a lot of our lives. And so when I was introduced to you, it was an exclamation point. And that was done through Dr. Noel Anderson, who introduced me to you. And he said, I want you to know about this woman artist. And when I saw your work, I knew I had to know you. Uh-huh. I took tons of people to the gallery to see your work. And I just have to tell you that it is inspiring. It moves me on a deep personal level. And I also feel it's a recognition of, how can I say, a lot of the underrepresented, ignored pieces of it for me as a Puerto Rican woman. So thank you. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. So sweet.
So Kandy, I would love to hear from you, right? When did you know you were an artist? When did that happen?
I would say middle school. So I was born in Jersey from Dominican parents. I came down to Hialeah, Florida when I was 8 or 9. I made a friend with a Puerto Rican Dominican girl who loved to dance. And our teachers told us about a magnet program for elementary school, specifically dance. So I wanted to be with my friend. So we did the dance program. And then ballet was introduced and my body isn't set up for that. So I needed to pick another arts form. And it wasn't dance and music. I was tired of playing the recorder because it's the instrument that you're focused on. In music, especially in elementary school. And it wasn't theater because you could read my face. So literally the last resort was art. And I got into the program after I auditioned, not knowing how to draw. I think that by the 7th grade, the ways that our teachers taught us how to see really pushed me to the curiosity of, I'm getting better at this thing. How much better can I be? So I would say by 7th, 8th grade, I felt this was a challenge that I am into.
Yeah. I I get that. And I love it because there's this notion. Sometimes we romanticize artists that, oh, they were born with it and that's it, right? You came out of
No,
the womb with that. That's not your story.
definitely not.
That's not your story. It's one where it was kind of cultivated and encouraged, right?
Hmm.
And I remember hearing that you wanted to be a dancer at first. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I went into it in dance, but my body
You did.
wasn't
Yeah.
for it. I'm very curvy and I'm short and thick. And the idea of that doesn't still fit in what you would consider like a prima ballerina.
I'm sure we're going to challenge those notions soon too. But your art actually looks at that, right? You look at art and who you decide to do portraits of and how you use materials. Walk us through that because that's the piece that's so powerful.
It's usually like family members or friends of friends. It's easier to tell those kinds of stories, but sometimes it's people that like come into exhibition spaces that have on like the swaggiest outfit,
Mm-hmm.
or they take the air out of the room, which is usually the person in the swaggiest outfit.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like just walking down the street, like after dinner or something. There's just like certain people that like stop me in my tracks visually, and it's not a like a sexual thing. It's more of a like an attraction to energy,
Yeah.
um, that I find really interesting. So then I have to like, build up the courage to be like, oh, I'm Kandy, I'm an artist. Are you interested in like being one of my pieces? And then I show them some examples of my work. And if they're interested, then they give me their information and then we start building a relationship there.
Do people ever say no?
Yeah, people have said no, or they'll say, oh yeah, I'm interested, and they give me their information, but then when I reach out, they don't respond. But yeah, it's happened.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to happen less and less.
I don't know. I mean,
I think so. I get that sense. And so you do these large scale fiber paintings, right? And beautiful portraiture, right? Tell me about that process.
so I'm a portrait painter, is what consider myself. I'm just painting with different mediums. So sometimes I'm painting with, ink for printmaking. Sometimes I am painting my watercolors and cutting them out, and then they turn into collages. Even within the fiber work, I feel like I'm still painting because it's the way that my brain understands color, shape, form, and texture, and also transparency. So one day a piece of like string fell on one of my collages, and I like the three dimensionality of that, and also the connection to like my grandmother was a seamstress in Dominican Republic. So there's a generational connection there. And also like the strands together are more powerful than the strands by themselves. So there's this idea of like power through the physical thread and the history of who had the ability to have leisure time
Mm.
to create work that's supposed to wrap you and make you feel warm. So there's a lot of those things that happen while I'm choosing my material because it's as important as the messaging. So usually I start with a picture of the person and then I print it out and I figure out the proportions and then I draw it on this backing called hook rug mesh,
Yes.
which is like the backing of a rug.
Mm-hmm.
So initially they were supposed to be on the floor when I created black and white versions of black and brown bodies. It was more of a political social statement. So people in the gallery had to like literally step on this rug of this person who was slowly like fading away because of the
Mm.
footprints. Um, and then eventually when I incorporated color in 2021 is when I was like, oh, these things are different. Like they're powerful. They feel like paintings, but they're not paintings. And I love the reaction to the when people like go up and they see that, oh no, this is yarn. Like this is not even paint. Like their initial thought, which is how people view others as well in this country. So there's like a lot.
Yeah. Oh no, there's There's so many levels. I kind of say, right, walking into a gallery and seeing your work is it's very meta, right? So there's this one level, you see it from afar and you go, wow, that's beautiful. And then you get up close and then you're like, whoa, first of all, how you're able to get color, right? And the
Yeah.
nuances of color is extraordinary.
Thank you.
And so I love that when you see that up close. So yeah, so there is this piece of Afro-Latinidad that's
Yeah.
very much a part of your work. Talk a little bit about that.
So when I was younger, we did a lot of self-portraits. Like that is the simplest way of getting to understand the anatomy of a person. You are your own model. You know what you look like. You know if the drawing doesn't look like you, which is why they give us so many assignments of self-portraiture. But it's also to get to like know the the inner demons that you have of what you think you look like that you have to deal with. So when I converted into like using thread within the work, I haven't done a self-portrait, even though these are each individually a portrait of me. It's not like me, like my rendering. When I wanted to depict myself, I know that I wanted it to be based off identity. So the
Yes.
first one that I did, I knew that I wanted to use Frida Kahlo just because she is also other and female, and was a powerful force on her own, even through all of the things that she went through in her life. So I knew I wanted to use an image of hers. So I used Las Dos Fridas, where
Yes.
she has the two different views and identity of herself holding on to each other. So I knew that I wanted to have like the American version, quote unquote, of me and my cultural background and being Dominican and what that means and not really fitting into, Las Americas and America. So that was the first time that I used that dress. I was also reading a lot about the history of the island. So like Haiti and Dominican Republic and the
Yes.
revolutions and the colorism and the
Yeah. Trujillo, all
classism
of
and,
it,
and all
all of it.
of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make a statement of like, I'm still developing that side. So if you look at that piece, you'll notice that like the dress is slowly like falling down like drips of paint where it's not complete. And the hair is also not done because I'm still like working through that part of my identity. But I also wanted to talk about colorism within that island too, and just like in general, because it's not just there; it's throughout the world. And I started a Hispaniola series, so there's 5 of them, and with each one of them, it's a different stance or a difference in color or a difference in completion. So there's some where they're not complete on purpose, again, because I want the viewers to question why. And also because we're still dealing with the history, right? Things change all the time.
They do. They do change all the time. And yet, this question or the part of our history of an assault on our bodies, on our color,
Mm-hmm.
on our political voice it's all represented in your work, right?
Right.
That and that when you talked about how you started out with the black and white pieces where it would disappear as it was walked over on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And then move to, I feel that with making us much more visible and placing us on the wall in
Mm-hmm.
color, right? No,
Mm-hmm.
this was que rebelde, right? This was
Yeah.
a bit of a rebellion, right? And doing that, which is what I love, and then you know, I always joke that I get to have a little piece of Kandy Lopez and the one about your cousin Luis.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about your cousin and why you started doing some of the smaller pieces,
It's funny.
and why you might be going back to that.
So I do a lot of my cousins. I mean, just like me, it's easy to have a model because they're always like willing to be,
Yeah, they're not going to
painted or
say no.
drawn or whatever, right? They're like, oh, Candy wants to do one of me. So when I was first doing these like swagger watercolor pieces, I started them before I was pregnant, and then while I was pregnant, I reverted back to them because it was the only like material that I was using that I can use. Like I couldn't paint and I couldn't print make. So it was like, well, I have these watercolors, so I'll just, create these little images of people who I think have swagger. And my cousin from the beginning, Luis, and his sister Marlene have been asking me like, when are you gonna do me? When are you gonna do me? When? And I'm just like, you guys don't have swagger. Like when you like build that confidence, I will do one. And then in 2021, I remember when I started like putting color into this and they like took a picture of themselves as like a grouping, like a couple. I
Yes.
was like, oh my God, they have grown into their swagger. So then like I reached out to him and Lewis was so happy, like ecstatic too. And he also takes photographs, which I think is one of the things that I was attracted to within that image that he posted on his Instagram, because he like understands light and color and texture and like cropping. Like he has it, and I don't think he knows he has it. And I've been telling him like, you need to be pushing out those photographs because they talk about us as a people. Like everything you have in that photo feels like us.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to commemorate him multiple times. I have more of him and his sister too.
I love it. I love it. Well, clearly your cousin Luis looks like my brother Jason, because when they saw it in my house, they were like, "Whoa, you got Jason on the wall?" I was like, "That's not Jason. That's Luis."
There's a lot of those connections, which I like.
Yeah. And so speak to that about people seeing themselves in your work and why that matters.
Oh my God, I love it. So as an artist, I like just making the work and showing it. Like I don't need to be there for the opening. Like I don't need like the praise of it. I just like when people go in and they have a connection. That's all I'm looking for. But the artist has to show up. So when there is an exhibition and there are different models, they are aware that there's an exhibition. Like I let them know, hey, by the way, your piece is in the show. If you want to come, the exhibition opening, and then it becomes about the models instead of me. So it's also a way for me to be like, I'm out in the cut.
Yes.
And they become like the central figure. They're the ones where people take pictures of them, and they're the ones that tell their story about how they were picked to be a piece. And I love that because then the models get to know each other, and then you're building a family around that specific thing. And then friends, they have friends and family, and there ends up being like some kind of connection in that space, which I like.
Yeah. And which is, I'd say, quite revolutionary in the space, because often models don't get to talk to each other, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's like, why not?
I actually, I was thinking about this question of the juncture, and you hinted at that for a period of time while you were pregnant, you could only use watercolor, right? Right. So that to me is powerful. I didn't know that story, which
That was a
is,
very difficult time for me as an
yeah,
artist.
a very difficult, right? So how has parenting and that transition changed your art?
A lot. I feel like I wouldn't be in fiber if it wasn't for my daughter. Um, because I was so like wrapped up in the idea of painting and not like things that felt warm and
Mm.
soft, and like how do you make something feel like it's like you can wrap somebody in it. Like I wasn't even thinking about any of that stuff until I had to, because I couldn't do what it is that I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
like it'll start off with watercolors and turn into collages, and then that turned into thread, and then I went back to painting, and then I couldn't do the things, and I was like, what else can I do besides the watercolor as well? Like, can I make people out of, these little threads, and what would that look like? And she also pushed me to not lose my identity as a mom. I think that
Mm.
that was one of the things that I was really skeptical of, to have like a family, because you don't really see, or the moms aren't out, or there's not that
Yeah.
much like, I don't know, promo or research regarding like a mother artist,
Right.
like what does that look like?
Or the trope of the mother artist being never had time for the child, only for the art, right?
Right.
So
I
that,
didn't
right? So
want that
how, mhm.
because my mom was so present, and not that she didn't have an identity, but I don't know what she would have chosen if we weren't here. I didn't want to have that issue. Like I still wanted to make, and I know that I'm very militant with the way that I handle scheduling.
Yeah.
So that also helps to like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at this time and I'm gonna breastfeed during this time and eat breakfast and do the things. And then by the time she has a nap, at least I get an hour in. And in that hour, I'm gonna watercolor. Or while I'm breastfeeding, I have 15 minutes on one breast. I should be done with this, drawing so that I could switch her over and draw with my other hand. Um, it was just like part
Yeah.
of making the things.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give up both, but it's always been a struggle. It's still a struggle. Even with help, I don't know how people do it without help. I wouldn't be able to do all of the things I do if it wasn't for Kandy. You want me to take care of your kids while you go to New York, or
Yeah.
me and my husband, going, I don't know, to some place in an exhibition while his parents, take care of the kids, or I have to go to an opening tonight. Can you stay with the kids? It's just like a constant balancing act. And then like bringing the kids to some exhibitions too, because I want them to see their mom in this space of like not giving up your dream just because you decided to have a family.
Yeah. I love that. And I would say the richness of your work has only increased, right? So,
Thanks.
so, thanks for being so open about talking about parenting because it's true. My favorite role model, or one of them, said to me, she was like, Lisette, the end of the day, it's about integration.
Mm. Yep.
And literally, when you describe that, that's it. It's like, yeah, it's part of that, but it comes out reflect this depth. I think also a greater depth happened with your work as well too.
Thank
Uh,
you.
so I know we're going to have to wrap up pretty soon, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about why, not why, but what's the next juncture for you? What do you see for yourself next?
So when I get bored with a particular material, I like to challenge myself with another material that'll drive me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing with stained glass since
Oh,
2023,
good.
and I've gone to residencies to understand all the possibilities that you can do with glass. I haven't gotten all of them, but like I've been playing a lot with it. I just received the Gibbs prize, so an 1858 prize for the Southern artists. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And that came with a grant. So I bought a fusing kiln
Good.
that is now at the university next to the ceramic shop. So it's like trying to integrate what I do with yarn as a painting with glass. So people have told me, Kandy, it's not possible, and I'm like, that's not in my vocabulary. So trying to figure out a way where I can do those two things together, because I just love transparency so much. And I also like the idea of like the fragility of the glass and the fragility of the fiber, but them together makes it stronger. Like I like that duality of strength versus weaknesses, and confrontation versus vulnerability in the eyes. Like I like the play of those things together.
And isn't that what we're struggling with humanity, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
literally, all those pieces. Oh, I'm so excited to see what that looks like. Thinking about this notion of transparency and wow. When you think about, it's funny. You say bored, and I've heard you say bored a few times in other podcasts. If I get bored, I'm going to try something new. I just find you more of a restless spirit. I don't find
Yeah,
it
I feel
bored.
like I'm always trying to like find the excitement of the thing. Like if I know how to do the thing, I don't want to keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I like want to learn how to do something new, and how that changes the messaging. It's like a constant need for education.
I love it. Well, this relentless drive, what a way to end this. I mean, talk about a metaphor for life. Shouldn't we all have that, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we all have that? What would you say to young artists as we close out now? What do you want to say to a young artist today?
I would tell them to work.
Yeah, that's important. Make a wage, right?
Yeah,
there we go.
Like you have to find a job that it can fund what you really want to do. But also like work in the studio, find time, at least an hour a day where you're like doing the thing that you really want to do and not letting a no stop you from your next yes. I think a lot of the times they're like really scared of rejection. And I tell people, I'm telling my students, I still get rejection letters. Like I still get, unfortunately, and that's okay because it's not the right time or I didn't fit that particular group of artists. Maybe it's a gift for the next thing that I'm going to get. You know, it's not seen as something negative. It's seen as a way of pushing forward.
I love it. Well, you are truly bendecida. I thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I thank you for your work. I thank you for what you continue to do for us. I thank you for keeping politics and visibility central. And I'm excited about your next step. Thank you, Kandy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. At The Junction, we reflect on the moments that make us with today's most impactful leaders. The show was created and hosted by me, Lisette Nieves, and produced by LWC Studios. This show is available everywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. I encourage you to share video and audio episodes by linking to them on social media, websites, and by sharing them in your online affinity groups. Our executive editor is Juleka Lantigua. Michelle Baker is our senior producer. Allison Rich and Cesar Ventura provided administrative support. CDM Studios is our live recording location. Our theme song is La Juntura Cultural, arranged by Randy Saraguchi Jr. and the Altian Woodard, produced by Randy Saraguchi Jr. and recorded by Pharmacy Studio. For more information and episode transcripts, visit lisette-nieves.com. If you'd like to reach out, please email us at hello@lwcstudios.com.